All right, welcome in everybody to another edition of Morning Scone. Glad to have you here. We're presented by Boudreaux's Bloody Mary and Margarita Mix. Y'all check it out. Do me a solid. Hit the share button as you're watching this, whether you're watching it live or if you're catching us later in the morning or whenever it may be. Hitting the share button, hitting likes and comments and all that stuff helps. All those different metrics help get this into people's feed so they can see it. So appreciate that very, very much. Okay, handful of things I want to talk about this morning, and as always, we'll get some Q&A at the end. So we'll do some roll call as y'all pop on here. So I appreciate you for watching. Nick, Aunt Mary, how are you? Christopher Davis, good morning. Chuck Sanchez, Jonathan Taylor, Chewy, good morning to you as well. Darren, good morning. Boudreaux's, Darren's the Boudreaux's guy. If y'all like the product, talk to him. Kevin Milano, Mark Kernan, good morning, y'all. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it very much. I am going to do what I say, and I'm going to hit the share button here. Stephen Miller, good morning. Good to see you as always, dude. I'm going to share this on my timeline, so hopefully y'all will do the same, hit the share button. So let's talk about a few things. Saints minicamp yesterday. Got a bunch of headlines, including Mark Ingram clarifying his contract situation. We also got... I got to update AFR Mojo. Told you yesterday about Kramer Robertson's big day after coming on AFR. Alex Lange was on AFR yesterday, and I'll let you know how he did last night. And then good news for the United States of America. We got the World Cup in 8 years. So we'll talk about that coming up. So let me start with Mark Ingram. So this was interesting because Mark Ingram spoke with reporters yesterday. First time that he's spoken with reporters since the news of his suspension came out. And if you recall, the story was that Ingram was going to hold out for a new contract. And that seems so silly, of course, because, I mean, your boy gets popped for PEDs. He's going to miss the first 4 games of the season. He's going to be 29 this year. He doesn't exactly have a lot of leverage. He's an aging back. He's getting toward 30 years old. He's going to miss 4 games for a PED suspension. If you test positive again, then you're missing half the season. So Ingram doesn't have a lot of leverage to hold out at this point in his career. So it was interesting to see that he was going to do that when that report came out. Well, Ingram yesterday clarified when he met with reporters. He said, quote, "I just wanted to train on my own this offseason. I wanted to switch up my offseason regimen this year. Felt like I had some things I wanted to work on personally that I could get done better by myself." He essentially said that he was never going to hold out, that they never told Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis that he was going to hold out, and it was never about getting a new contract. So you kind of get to this position of, okay, who do you believe? Now, Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network was the first to report that Ingram wanted a new contract and was not going to participate in any of the voluntary offseason workouts. So, it's worth noting, if you're just looking at the NFL and the sort of, I want to say relevant, the biggest NFL, the national reporters, right? The 2 biggest outlets, of course, are ESPN and the NFL Network, and the 2 guys are Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport. So if you're Ian Rappaport, you're very plugged in. He's getting that information from one of 2 places. The information he reported about Ingram holding out for a new contract. He's getting that information from one of 2 places. He's either getting it from someone within the Saints organization, which I doubt, or he's getting it from Ingram's agent. And considering that Mark Ingram just switched agents this offseason from Joel Siegel to new representation, it's very likely that Ingram's agent floated that story to Ian Rappaport to gauge a response. It gave Ingram plausible deniability. Ingram, of course, said it was a media creation, because the media just make, it's always the media. The media just makes stuff up. Anyway, I do understand, Ingram's point. I understand what his agent was trying to do, but it was just the timing of it was awful. You're going into a 4-game suspension. You're going to be talking about holding out for a new contract. I mean, you have no leverage to argue for a new deal, and now he's there. So Mark Ingram told reporters yesterday that he will be there for all of the mandatory parts of the offseason, for the mini camp, for training camp when it begins, and he'll be ready to roll when his 4-game suspension is over. They fought it, lost. So he'll be ready to roll week 4. So the more interesting thing now for New Orleans is, what do you do at running back? And if you missed the story yesterday, Tim Hightower's working out, and today Jamal Charles will be at the Saints facility working out. So it'll be interesting to see how Jamal Charles does. We talked about this a good bit yesterday on AFR, but for those who might have missed it on the radio show, the nuts and bolts is when you look at what Sean Payton has been able to do in his time in New Orleans with undrafted running backs, and you go back to Pierre Thomas, you look at Chris Ivory, Kyrie Robinson, Travaris Cadet, you run through that list, man, he's always sort of found those guys. You know what I mean? The diamonds in the rough that he can scratch out a good 3 or 4 years on a rookie deal out of them before each of them seemingly has gone and gotten a bigger deal. So I know that it's enticing to look at Jamal Charles and think of the guy that was a 1,000-yard rusher and such a dominant player early in his career in Kansas City. But I shared these numbers yesterday on the radio. His last 1,000-yard season was 2014. The 3 years since combined, he's got 50 fewer rushes and 300 fewer rushing yards in the 3 years combined since his last 1,000-yard season. So long and short of it is, I'm really interested to see what young guys like Trey Edmonds and Boston Scott and Jonathan Williams can do if given that chance. So Saints going through their mini camp. We'll keep you up to date with anything that happens. Michael Thomas was not at mini camp yesterday. Sean Payton said it was an excused absence. And Marcus Davenport, first-round draft pick, he'll have surgery on that thumb on Friday. So should be ready to go, though, in time for training camp, and that's really good news. So y'all fire away if you've got questions or comments, stuff like that. You know, we'll always get to them there. Stephen Bro, what's up? Robbie Compton, Boston Scott may surprise. You know, the only thing about Boston Scott is, and maybe this is judging a book by its cover, I don't know that he's going to be the style of runner that Ingram is. I think he's more of the change of pace back like Kamara is. And I like that role, and I certainly like him on special teams. And they wouldn't have taken him if they didn't feel like he could fill a role on this team. But I don't know that that's the guy that you're going to count on as a rookie to come in and be a 15, 20 carry a game guy with Mark Ingram out. So appreciate the comment, though. Y'all keep firing away with comments and questions. So we'll get to this here in just a quick second. So Drew's probably going to walk in a second. So, hey, Drew. Okay. Usually everybody likes to see Drew. Erica's in there too. She's about to go to work. Okay, two other things I want to talk about. United States, Mexico, and Canada, they got the 2026 World Cup. Fired up for that. Ole, 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 and all that good stuff. So soccer's coming to the U.S. in 2026. I'm actually kind of excited about that. Like, I love to go to sporting events. I love to go to world-class sporting events. And I don't know that I would ever travel internationally for a World Cup match. So if there's a match in the United States that the U.S. is playing in 2026, provided they make the tournament in 2026, I'll probably go. Probably will. So I'm not a soccer guy, but I'm a big fan of the United States of America and and capitalism and democracies and things like that. So and I'm a big fan of the United States whipping other countries and things. So I'll probably check that out. So, 2026. Let's plan a bus trip and go check out some World Cup action. All right, one more thing I want to get to here. We'll get to your comments. Kerry Guglielmo, yo, man. Devin Wyatt, good morning. Mark Bayard, howdy from Tampa, Florida. Appreciate you being down there, man. Randy Quinn, Jeremy Pearly, Dale Crochet, Sam Dixon, Jeremy Davis, Brandon Browning, what's good, dude? Scott Perillo, Mark Verdois. Yo, y'all. Thanks for being here. Appreciate everybody for watching. Y'all keep some comments coming. I'll get to these. You know what? Since Stephen Bro has a comment about Ingram, let me get to that, and then I'll get to my last story here in a sec, which is about Alex Lange. Stephen Bro, how many more seasons do we have with Mark Ingram like last year? It's not even that; it's how many more you have under contract. So you got Mark Ingram he's going into a contract year. So, I would say Ingram will be 29 at the end of this year. Just for comparison's sake, you look at a guy like Jamal Charles, who is 31. I mean, you're 2 or 3 years from that. I would think you probably have 2 more good years of Mark Ingram, like this year and then one more. So that's the thing with New Orleans, where I think when you're Mickey Loomis or Sean Payton, you're being very cautious with a contract. I think you want a front-loaded contract for Mark Ingram, maybe a 3-year deal or a 2-year option type deal. where you could void a third year, something like that. What you don't want to do is go give Mark Ingram a 4-year deal that's backloaded. That's a terrible deal for New Orleans because that's the type of bad contract that got New Orleans into cap hell all those years, where they didn't have money, so they had to backload contracts for guys or give them big signing bonuses and prorate that over the course of 4 years, or backload the signing bonuses to give them cap relief. So I wouldn't give Ingram more than a 3-year deal, and I'd really front load it. Okay, one more thing here. So if you missed it, yes, so Mark Lacey, Matt, the AFR Mojo may only work for hitters. I'm sure Lange will contact you soon to offer thanks. Okay, so absolutely true story. So just a quick catch-up if you haven't heard before. So we've talked about AFR Mojo on my radio show for a lot of years. It seems like every time baseball guys come on, they have great success. The latest, it worked for Alex Bregman when he was in Corpus in AA. It's worked for guys like Mikey Matuk. And on Monday, Kramer Robertson came on my show. Kramer had been hitting about 210. He went 4 for 4 with a game-winning 2 RBI double in the 8th inning, also scored 2 runs. I mean, monster night. First 4-hit game of his career on the day he comes on AFR. Coincidence? I think not. So anyway, had Alex Lange on yesterday. And so we said, hey, man, look, you're about to get some AFR mojo. You're going to have a huge night tonight. Well, didn't quite work out that way for Langer there. 4 2/3, 4 runs on 7 hits, 4 strikeouts. He gave up 2 homers. I get a text last night about 10:45 from Lange. It doesn't work. LOL. Now, I got to find some video because Lange told me. So one of the home runs that he gave up, he says he swears it was 10 feet foul. I found the video of it. It looked fair to me, but it was from a different vantage point. It's like, I swear it was foul. Anyway, he says he almost got run. Like, he went after the umpire, and his manager had to pull him off the umpire. So that's interesting. So I really want to see that. But anyway, I think perhaps what's happened here is we've isolated the fact that AFR Mojo only works for hitters. I mean, very clearly. And someone said, well, you can't talk about it. I don't think it works like that. It doesn't work like with a no-hitter, because we've talked about AFR Mojo for years. So we've talked about it. Guys have openly talked about wanting to come on the show to get their AFR Mojo. So I don't think that's the issue there, talking about it. I really think maybe it just doesn't work for pitchers. But Alex Lange did, Mark Lange did tell me, he said, let your audience know that I'm preparing a statement. So my hope is that today, at some point today, Lange has a prepared or issues a statement about AFR Mojo. So stay tuned to that. Hopefully we'll have that on the show today. Adam Penny, good morning. Let's see. Happy to see World Cup coming to North America. I'm Ron Burgundy. Swamp Assassin tees are top notch. Yeah, our guys at Swamp Assassin do good stuff, Devin. Thanks for that shout out to them. They're the guys that did the I Hit Bomb shirts. So if you want to check those out, swampassassin.com. SEC Media Days in about a month. Football will be here before we know it. You know, Sam, I talk about that often, man. It's like one of the great, when LSU baseball can get us to the end of June like last year, it's amazing, because I'll take a week off in July, and then the second week of July we're at SEC Football Media Days. We get back from Media Days, you got 1 week, and then the Saints report the Saints report that week, and then the next week LSU's reporting for camp. I mean, you're in it. So yeah, it's amazing how quickly it comes. So it's a fun time of year, man. We're getting there. Let's see. Mark Bayard. I texted Aaron Nola last night. AFR, third party Nola, LOL. Good, man. Tell Aaron Nola to come on the show, man. I haven't talked to him in a while, man. But he's doing awesome. I saw him throwing BBs last night again. Just disgusting what Aaron Nola's doing right now. He will be an all-star and deserves it. He's had an awesome year. All right, y'all. We're about to wrap this thing up. So, Ken said he loves how Alex still has a sense of humor about it. Alex is great, man. He's one of those guys that we talked a lot about too in the off season. He was training at Traction before, when he was drafted. He was training at Traction and before he went, and he'll end up coming in studio and doing a lot of stuff with us. He's got a strong desire to do media stuff and gets the value in it, and he's good at it. So Lange will be one of those guys that you hear from for a lot of years on certainly on my show and probably others as well. So Jared Watts, hello. Douglas Duhan, thanks for joining. Pete Giardino, good morning. All right, y'all, we're about to wrap this thing up. Y'all have an awesome day. Do us a solid. Hit the share button if you have not done so yet. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you should see like the little blue thumbs up, the little red hearts, all of those things that help if you can hit those, and the share button especially. Long story short, Facebook changed their algorithm, so it's much harder to get people to see your video and your post unless if people share it. So if you can hit the share button, that's a huge help. And check out our friends at Boudreaux's, at Alexander's, Calvin's, Calandro's, and Darren, forgive me, I know there's one more I'm supposed to be mentioning, but bottom line is, if where you shop, if they don't sell Boudreaux's mixes, stop shopping there or make them sell it. So you can even tell me with this one, check out all the goodness when you shake it up. I don't know if it's too dark, but check out all the goodness. You can see all the ingredients in there. It's so good. So you don't have to go empty out your pantry. You just take this thing, you pour it over ice, you add your vodka, you stir, and you're good to go. All right, y'all, have an awesome day, and we'll see you tomorrow on Morning Scone.